What's up, you absolutely wonderful Magento loving friends of mine? Joseph from SwiftOtter here with another piece of the knowledge puzzle, which I call the knowledge bite. Yes, we're going to be talking about shipping today. Shipping and how we would design a solution that will fit our customers' requirements. Our customers' requirements have been baked into or boiled down into a small paragraph, and we're going to look at 3 different options and identify which one is the best solution. This is about building great e-commerce experiences, and the answer that I have chosen is actually fairly different than the answers most people chose when we put this out as a test your knowledge question here on LinkedIn. So let's dive in without further ado. The question reads like this. You are helping a merchant configure shipping rates on Adobe Commerce. They sell clothing and wish to offer a flat fee of $5 for orders under 100 and $10 for orders over 100. They would also like to offer expedited shipping for orders with an additional $10. How would you ensure Adobe Commerce shows these correct rates? This is a practical, it is a legitimate question. I had this fairly recently, but with a slightly different context. This is highly applicable to Adobe Commerce as well. Actually, the other context was BigCommerce. Very, very important question that we need to have a quick answer for. And ultimately, this tests our knowledge of Adobe Commerce and the shipping methods that are available out of the box. Let's take a look at the potential answers, and perhaps you have another answer you'd love to add. And if you do, drop that in the comments down here below, because I would love to hear another take on this solution here. 3 different answers that I come up with. A, configure the table rate shipping method accordingly. B, use a third-party module to provide the necessary rules. C, enable flat rate and free shipping. Modify pricing rules for free shipping. So we have these 3 different options. Which one would be the correct answer? We're going to look through each one of these individually and see how well this hypothesis as an individual item fits this set of requirements, this problem that we have identified. So A, number 1, configure the table rate shipping method accordingly. This is the one that we would by default move towards simply because we're talking about, hey, we have, a price or subtotal breaks and we want to have prices integrated into this, just like what we saw here in this question. Seems fairly straightforward. Now, look at it this way. I'm going to show you my computer screen here. This is in my Adobe Commerce admin area. We have our table rates option here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make this bigger. One thing to note is we have our condition. We have weight versus destination, price versus destination, number of items. So basically, you can set up table rates against a set of weights, prices, or number of item delineation. So either way, it's fairly straightforward. In this case, I have selected price. And then I went down here and clicked choose file. One thing you will also notice here is I am not inside of a website scope. Normally for table rates to work, you would have to select a table scope or a website scope up here. In this case, we are not doing that because this website is set to run in single store mode. All right, so I chose to export the CSV, and we have a CSV that comes out looking like this. Country, state, region, zip code, etc. That's fairly standard. And ultimately, you can put asterisks into there, although I wouldn't recommend putting asterisk on the country field. It would be asterisk in these 2 here. But look, notice what we have here. We have order subtotal and above and a shipping price. This does not fulfill the requirements because they wanted an expedited amount for a fee or for a plus fee. So if we were to have a shipping price of, say, $5 and then $10, and the expedited would be 15 and 25 respectively, I don't see a way in this table rates implementation that we can actually do that. There is no way to have a title on here, which would be pretty nice. And I believe there's a module out there that will do this. One thing just to consider there. So at that point, A is out of the question. We have to strike it, unfortunately. Now, B, let's take a look at this. Now, there are plenty of options out there. One thing I'm just going to throw out there is this idea of ShipperHQ. Now, I will say that we are a partner of ShipperHQ, but I have been really impressed with the capabilities, the functionality that they provide. And honestly, it's not that expensive. If a merchant really is looking to take control over their capabilities, ShipperHQ is an option. I'm not being paid for saying this. I've been genuinely impressed in the product, and as I was thinking through the answers here, this definitely does seem to be a good fit. Now, granted, I will say if you're treating this as a practice test question for an Adobe Commerce test, almost always this answer would be wrong, and so that's why it was a bit of a trick question in this case. But it really is true. In ShipperHQ, there's several other options out there, but ultimately, I have been very impressed with the capabilities that ShipperHQ brings to the table, and table rates like this is like super easy for it. It's not even an issue in that way, and ultimately, it can go way beyond that as far as even packaging and some of those type of rules. So I am ultimately marking B as the correct answer because I can't get A or C to do this. And we're going to take a look at C here in just a second, but there is no default way. And I have heard of a number of scenarios where this is important, this is a requirement, and it's just not available out of the box. And I will say this, that another reason I wanted to call out ShipperHQ is, and again, it could be there's other third-party offerings too. It's not just ShipperHQ, but there is a growing case in my mind for reducing our dependence on both third-party modules as well as custom code. In a lot of cases, it's necessary. There's no other options. There's nothing else that can literally fulfill these business requirements. But if we can leverage another company's well-built or best-in-class offerings, we are reliant on them for making sure that these offerings do what they say they're going to do. And hopefully, if we trust them and they say that they're going to do what they're going to do and it works well, that's fantastic. It's much more stable versus the more third-party modules that you install, the more custom code you install. Guess what? Upgrades are more difficult and more painful by far. So using this, call it microservices approach, generally seems to be reducing the overall total cost of ownership. And it's something that I would definitely recommend considering. Now, as far as this final option here, let's come back over and look at this here. We have our enable flat rate and free shipping. So this is a hack that you can definitely take advantage of in this scenario of working with Adobe Commerce, and we've done it ourselves. You can use free shipping for in-store pickup, for example, before actually the in-store pickup option, or in-store delivery, was available. But free shipping works, flat rate works. However, you have to modify the pricing rules for free shipping. Okay, well, guess what? Based off of the answer that we're reading here, we would also have to modify the rules for pricing too. And that wasn't specified. And again, we're kind of getting into some customization. So ultimately, maybe you build out your own flat rate or own table rate solution, whatever it is. That's all possible. So it becomes, at the end of the day, a cost analysis, which is better, factoring not only the build time now, but ultimately the maintenance time over the years, as well as in comparison to what would it look like to use a third-party solution. So that is your answer, and I hope you find this helpful in talking about how we can effectively implement this, I would say, fairly common ask with table rates, but then have a tiered structure on there. Hope you found this beneficial here this week.